Welcome back to Fireside Bourbon, and we are going to take you to Whiskey U. We have not done this one in a while, but I decided to put something together for it and do a little review of the Redwood Empire's Emerald Giant, their standard expression, because we're going to talk about the Taft decision, which helped identify the not a bad sounding pop for an almost empty bottle, but helped to identify the standard for a straight whiskey. Um, it was a culmination of multiple things over years that brought this about and brought forth this argument. Um, it actually begins all the way back to the Bottled and Bond Act of 1897. Okay, and with the FDA, we end up with having the Pure Food and Drug Act. Now, the Pure Food and Drug Act was actually established totally in 1906, and it was the passing of this act that required that products would be accurately labeled with contents, creating a safer consumer environment. Prior to that, you weren't sure what you were getting on anything. You got what you were given, and you accepted that. Now, again, the Bottle and Bond Act helped to regulate and control the whiskey market. By requiring some things to be done. Essentially, that protected the whiskey and stopped what was going on with the rectifiers, and you just didn't know what you were getting. All types of stuff. That straight whiskey would be made from grain, not fruit, not sugar, not molasses. Okay. And that flavored whiskey would be defined as blended. Therefore, bourbon and rye, of course, we know now wheat and some other grains. We've got rice being done and all types of things, but that they would be identified as the dominant grain. So in bourbon, it would be corn. In rye, obviously, it would be rye. In wheat, it would be wheat. In rice, it would be rice. And other grains that are used also. But that's what he did in his decision. So in essence, he said any spirit that was made from grain could be called a whiskey, and it must be branded to indicate this type. Now, with that could be, there was other requirements that had to be met. One main one is it had to be proofed at for the bottle a minimum of 80 proof or 40% ABV. Could not be any lower. Now there were three key points that came out of his decision. Number one, the definition of whiskey. Number two, branding requirements. Number three, neutral spirits. As already stated, the definition of whiskey that Taft ruled was that any spirit made from grain could be called whiskey. With the branding requirements, he ruled that all whiskey bottles had to be branded to indicate the type of spirit, which would allow the consumers to know what they were buying. No more taking a guess. We know now, we pick this bottle up, it tells us that it is a rye whiskey, and we know what we're getting. A minimum of 51% rye in this bottle. Of course, the mash bill in this bottle is a 95% rye and 5% malted barley. But we're guaranteed a minimum of 51% for it to carry that brand, that name, rye whiskey on it. This branding or this labeling required also that it would be identified whether it was a straight whiskey, rectified, redistilled, or a neutral spirit. The third and final point of key point of his decision was that of neutral spirits. Taft specified that neutral spirits used in blended whiskeys must be made from grain, not molasses. Okay? If it was made from molasses, it was no longer a whiskey. The significance of this is that the Taft decision clearly identified the need by defining and branding, making them be requirements for what the whiskey was going to be in the industry. This remains very relevant for us today. It protects us, it protects the consumers, and it ensures the quality of the product so that you're not getting rum and you're told it's a sweet whiskey. So we can see that the Taft decision played a very large and integral part in defining, labeling, helping us to be safe in what we get, that when we buy it, we pay for it, we're getting it. Here we have the Redwood Empire Emerald Giant. This is not one of my favorites. I rated this a 3.5 when I did my review on it. Of course, I've never done a video review. But the distiller is undisclosed. It's sourced. It's out of, we know it's out of California and Indiana. We know it has an age statement of 4 years. And we know the mash bill, I said, is 95 rye and 5% malted barley. On the nose, I get a rye spices, I get oak, I get pine, I get star anise. It's a beautiful golden color, like a dark honey, light gold. I get great mint notes. I get pine on the nose. Nice. On the palate, let's go. Cheers. Mint's the first thing, but mint, oak, you get some tobacco, some baking spice. There's a light rye spice with a sweet, oaky taste that comes into your palate. Follows right in immediately with the mint. You get some leather notes that come up, and then it follows to the back of the palate back here with a pepper, a real nice peppery tobacco note that kicks in. It is a nice finish, a medium finish, nothing long. It is only coming in at 90 proof. Again, it's not one of my favorite. It's a 3.5 for me out of 5. I still agree with that. I did that back in 2024, about a year ago when I picked that bottle up, and I would not disagree with my findings back then. I still agree with them. So it's a good mixer. It's been a great mixer. I like it once in a while for a sipper, but there's just nothing that special. I've heard the cast strengths are real nice. I need to try to get one of them. I've seen them. I've just never picked one up and see if I have a difference of opinion. But there you have it. We've gone to Whiskey U today. You've been educated on the Taft decision of 1909, and hopefully that helps you to understand more about the history of your passion and your love, which is our whiskey. Till the next time, folks, I'm only here for a good rye whiskey.